porn stars reading game news or whatever.
Yeah.
That always get like booed off of YouTube.
Booed off of YouTube.
So you played Road Redemption?
Yeah.
This game?
Yes.
And from what I understand, it is a spiritual successor
Yes,
to
it is.
Road Rash,
Yes,
what
it
I
is.
consider to be the greatest racing game of all time.
But to call Road Redemption simply a spiritual successor to Road Rash diminishes the splendor of what Road
Yes.
Redemption is.
The beauty and the simplicity and all the wonderful things about it.
Yeah.
What is its splendor?
It's a ragdoll nightmare hellscape
Okay.
of physics and motorcycles raining from the sky sometimes. I don't know if that happened to you,
Yes.
that happened to me.
Yes, I had some fun physics stuff. There were definitely,
Yeah.
flying bikes.
So I'm imagining a mixture of Road Rash and Trials, perhaps?
Kinda. In terms of the amount of like carnage that little floppy ragdoll men
Yeah.
undergo.
Yeah.
But this is like, you pull up next to you on your motorcycle, you hit him 3 or 4 times, and then eventually the whole thing just blows up and he goes flying into the sky. Or you can like shove him. You can, the
can
grabbing
kick.
mechanic.
Yes, and you can also grab. The grabbing is great.
The grabbing is the best thing ever because you roll up on your motorcycle next to, like, let's say a cop's motorcycle, and you grab that cop. All of a sudden, when you steer, you are steering both him and you, and then you'll like go past a phone pole and smash him into it, which is
okay.
very satisfying.
Yeah.
That game's crazy to me because it seems it's a green light game, right? Like it's early
yeah,
access.
it's in early access.
I would approximate that it's about 1% done.
Give or take.
It's super
Yeah.
broken. The music's a little bit of a nightmare, and so are the graphics, and I almost want it to never change.
Oh
Like,
yeah, no, it's perfect the way it is.
Right.
It's such a 90s throwback sort of game.
Yeah.
Like, and it is just so, everything about it is like, we are a dumb video game. And
Yes.
we're gonna just
Yeah.
embrace being a dumb video game that like is channeling the 90s.
Right.
My favorite part by far is kicking guys into other cars.
Yes.
So kicking a dude, and the kick animation is so great. It's just like a really meaty, like boot of death kind
Right.
of kick. You're just knocking them into a car and then they just explode and die.
I feel like that's the thing that's great about motorcycle games specifically. There's a lot more like hand-to-hand combat,
Yes.
ways to fuck over other
Yeah,
players.
very direct.
Unlike cars where it's like, oh, I dented this guy's car.
It's impersonal. Yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It's so impersonal that the Burnout games never even bothered to put drivers in the cars. Like,
Yeah,
it
oh my
was
God, that's right.
They're all ghost cars.
Yeah. It's creepy though. I'm sure there's some weird meta story you can construct there.
Yeah,
The cars are sentient.
Yeah.
Dude, Burnout Paradise did the weird thing of, and I think the Burnout 3 did this too, of having that DJ guy narrate the beginning of the game. And I'm like, what's the story behind this man narrating this town of sentient cars? But they're not sentient cars the way the cars in Cars are sentient cars. These are just cars that drive themselves in one
They
lone
have
man.
personality.
Yeah.
What if there are a bunch of remote controlled cars controlled by like God or something?
Oh my God,
Shit.
the god of burnout.
Exactly.
Oh my.
You just
Wow.
wrote Burnout Creepypasta, which
Yeah.
I didn't think could be done.
There you
Well,
go.
it's, it's October now.
Right, happy Halloween.
Here we go.
Yeah, I think vehicular combat though is for the rest of my life going to be one of my favorite things in games.
Yeah.
Like Burnout is phenomenal. Even those Need for Speed games, which were semi-combat based,
Sure.
the Criterion ones, those are great. Like Criterion's new thing that doesn't even have a name yet
Yes.
is looking
Yeah.
pretty exciting.
I've always preferred the more arcadey ones.
Mm-hmm.
Like there is a certain thing about like Forza that's really good. Like that game is good. You
Yeah.
cannot deny that. But at the same time, it's like so good to the point where it's like almost a little bit boring.
It's a little sterile.
It's a little
That's a good word
sterile.
for it.
Yeah.
Sterile is the word I'm thinking of because it is fun to play. I don't want to call it boring straight up, but
Mm-hmm.
like it's so much I feel less exciting than like a Burnout game or a game even like Need for Speed where there's kind of a bigger story to the game and you're not just like racing.
You know what's always been fascinating to me is I've heard tales of some of these racing games have licensed cars and some of them don't, right? And that's why, to my understanding, like in Burnout, horrible things happen to these cars. They smash into walls and you watch them crumple in slow motion. But then like some vehicle manufacturers will be like, you can't show damage to the driver's seat.
Yeah.
You can't
Oh,
show,
wow.
like there's a maximum amount of damage you can show happening to a car. It can be only superficial, which is why Need for Speed, when Criterion took that license on and started using the licensed cars that they always use in Need for Speed, they kind of had to dial back the, like, that game is not about slamming your car into other cars. It
Yeah.
actually doesn't behoove you to ram into guys for the most part in Need for Speed Most Wanted, which is
Oh, so they changed the
Burnout.
mechanics around that restriction.
Instead, it's about like doing cop stuff, like Well, not really cop stuff, because cops don't launch
stuff.
spike strips out of the back of their car yet.
Yeah.
Not usually. But,
Not usually.
Yeah. But it's more like a bad guy, good guy scenario.
Right. Yeah. God, I love those Criterion racing games too, though.
Yeah.
But no, I think I feel you. I think I tend to be an arcade racer guy, because when I think about the racing games I love, it's the F-Zeros and Burnouts and just whatever, the sillier and cartoonier, the better.
Perhaps
Yeah.
the Mario Karts as well.
Yes.
Can we kind of
Mario-
throw that
yeah.
in? I know people talk about Mario Kart not so much as a racer, or you know, Mario Kart's almost like its own genre, but
Right.
I feel like it fits in really well here.
Definitely.
It's
Yeah.
arcadey, goofy, combat oriented.
It's a more accessible driving game, I feel.
Yeah,
Like, I don't
absolutely.
know a single person who's into video games who hasn't been super into Mario Kart at some point, either in their childhood or now even.
Everybody has one Mario Kart at least that they love.
Yeah.
For me, I think I love them all almost equally. The one that I don't really care for is Double Dash, and I know that's sacrilege, but
Oh, I've known many people who have had like Double Dash, harsh feelings for Double
yeah,
Dash.
and it's divisive, because I also know people who love Double Dash dearly.
Yes.
I'll never get that. I think the dumbest racing game I've ever loved, though, besides Road Redemption, is did either of you play Beetle Adventure Racing on
yes,
the N64?
on the N64.
No.
So the Christmas that I got an N64, my mom was buying it for me. She told me the story. She was like buying the N64. She was getting that and Pokemon Snap for me. And she wanted a third game. And she asked the dude behind the counter, like, what should I get for my kids? And he was like, you should get Beetle Adventure Racing. And she was like, that's weird. Like, no, why? Why would I do that? But she did it. And that game is going to be on my mind for the rest of my life.
It's
Like,
Really?
so good.
so much better than it should be. You know?
I know, like it was almost like Diddy Kong Racing in that there were like adventure elements to it, and you had to
Yes.
sort of go off the road and find things. It was really cool.
That's-
That was a
yeah.
really cool game.
Yeah, Beetle Adventure Racing was really cool. I remember sending an email to EA when I was 13 asking them to make a sequel, and they didn't do it.
That's
Wow.
wonderful. Can you dig that up someday?
I should try to find that
I'm
email.
thinking- should-
imagining you just writing a strongly worded
was like
letter. Dear Mr. EA.
It was an impassioned plea too. I was like, me and my dad played this game together. It brought us together. You should really make another Beetle Adventure Racing for my dad to play.
For sure they got that letter and laughed at you.
Yeah, they just burned it.
They were like, oh
They
my
had a-
god, somebody bought this game?
They had a design doc for Beetle Adventure 2, and then they just burned it with like a cigar.
It's like, oh, we were gonna make this, but you know,
No.
this kid can't,
No.
you know.
Can't have happy children.
And
No.
if we're talking about N64, that was my prime time for like, you know, battling car racing
Yeah.
kinds of games. Vigilante 8,
There you go.
also PS1 era, I suppose.
I don't know if I ever played a racing game on N64.
There was a real demolition derby movement in
Yes.
like the 90s and 2000s
There
that
was.
kind of went away.
I'm a little sad about it though, because those were really fun games that never had pretensions about being anything
Yes.
other than being a dumb video game.
Not
Yeah.
unlike
Which-
Road Redemption. yeah.
Exactly. That's what I like about Road Redemption the most, is that vibe, you know.
That was kind of an era though before people tried to make stuff look really good.
That's
so
true, too.
Nobody cared about the graphics.
Nobody
and
cared, they
everybody
were
was
just
like,
like-
let's just make this really fun.
I think that that's something that maybe other genres and other games could learn from, is like unpretentious games that own their own stupidity and are like that lean into their own stupidity will never. It's something I'll never tire of. Although
Absolutely.
there's a line that can be crossed when you try to be too dumb on purpose. Like I'm not crazy about
The Matt Hazard games.
Yeah, Matt Hazard is a great example. Even Blood Dragon, I was like, this writing is not what I'm
Top
here
notch.
for. Yeah.
Yeah.
Blood Dragon is amazing. You shut your mouth.
Dude, do you remember Max Scoville saw me talking shit about Blood Dragon on Twitter and got so upset?
It's so good. Dude, okay, for like a $10 game,
Oh, the value
Yeah.
proposition is undeniable. My only problem with Blood Dragon, besides the writing, is that I felt like that game was like really murky visually. Like I feel like I could never see anything. There's just so many scan lines and neon. And meanwhile, Far Cry 3 is the most clear, straightforward, beautiful blue sky, green grass. Like
yeah, but that was the point, to make it look like a 90s
yeah,
game.
I feel like the
Crappy,
joke
yeah.
got in the way of the fun too often for
I
me.
feel like you're a spoil sport.
I'm not. I love it. Far Cry 3 is my favorite like game of that year probably. I don't
God,
know.
it is so good.
It
I mean, I
is.
think there's a difference between a game laughing at its own joke and sort of just joyfully presenting its insanity.
Yeah.
Like Saints Row, I feel like is on the right side of that line. Like
Yeah,
it's
it
just sort
is.
of joyfully presenting its madness, as
Yeah.
opposed to like, here are our jokes, they're really funny.
I know,
I'm
they're not
pointing
like-
out the joke. You
Yeah.
know,
Hey,
kind of
that's the thing, pointing it out, because
Yeah.
it's hard to define what it is. But part of what makes me cringe about some games that, God, we really changed topics, but I'm into
We
it.
really did.
Part
That's
of
cool.
something that makes me cringe about the games that are like funny is they like you said, they just point a big neon sign at like, get it? Nudge,
We're
nudge.
joking.
Buh.
Yeah.
Check out these comedy tooltips. There's one shitty comedy tooltip that popped up on a Blood Dragon load screen the other day because I was playing Blood Dragon for some reason in 2014, and it was like the silenced pistol is both silent and deadly. Fart humor, and I'm just like,
Wait, what? Fart humor?
they didn't say that. I added that verbally.
Oh, okay.
But I was just like, get your fart jokes out of my face, Blood Dragon. You ain't funny.
Wow.
You
ain't funny. We did an entire Twitch stream where we let the chat use commands, preset commands that you made to like say cut from this camera to this camera, or cut from gameplay to a webcam that was placed at an unflattering chin angle underneath
That was my
us.
favorite.
That was a good one too.
As you can imagine, it went really well.
Yeah. You know what's weird? Okay, so I went into this